Well, another word for it would be ambiguity, right? And so to me, it's kind of like you throw everything on the table and you're like, okay, this part is an interesting insight. So let's set this on the positive side. And then you take the other pieces and you're like, noise, 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 noise. And you basically get out of the chaos into those insights that are meaningful and actionable. And that to me is the fun part.
Like, this is so important, right? Because you're getting at the heart of, I think, one of these so often overlooked questions in corporate innovation, which is, what problem are we trying to solve and why does it matter?
That's
Right?
right. That's right.
Because, we throw around things like ideas. Everybody's got ideas.
Yep.
Um, but what are we really trying to do here? Why does it matter? And how do we rally the resources to give it a real chance? I
Yes.
actually, like, for me, in my experience, that's actually one of the most fundamental challenges in innovating inside an organization. So I don't know if you agree or disagree, but it's really interesting to hear your experience sort of seeing that. But then what I really want to know is, what did you do with that? What did you do with that maybe disappointing insight?
Sure. Well, it's not disappointing, it's a learning, right? And I mentioned to you before we started that I see innovators as having invisible scars, deep,
Absolutely.
invisible scars made by like dwarves with the axes. That's how deep they go. Um, and they are lessons to be learned. And so, as an innovator, you learn how to smuggle around those obstacles in a way that gets you the result that you need. And that is always about buy in, getting people to buy in. So, what I learned is that it's easier to form an innovation council from the very beginning,
Yep.
looping in someone who's responsible for the money, someone who's responsible for legal, someone who's responsible for, in my world, compliance, of course, sales, of course, IT, but they all need to be aligned, not in picking a solution, but identifying the real problem that the
Oh,
company needs to solve.
oh, I, I couldn't have asked for a
Oh,
better idea and sentence. Okay, I'm gonna find something to argue with you on,
oh,
Natalie, but
sure.
right now I'm just like, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I think it's fundamentally true. And one of the things that I've observed, and it's frustrating as an innovator, but it's just true, is that when you're inside a large organization, you need everybody to say yes, but only one person has to say no. And so you talk about these deep scars, like that's where so many of these scars come from. So what do you
Yes.
do about it? Well, this council, this is a great idea. Tell me more about that.
So we have a fantastic innovation council here at Boston Mutual. Um, Again, I mentioned that we have all of those types of people there.
Yep.
We meet monthly. And the way that we started this was we started with a charter and what it is that we're trying to achieve, which is to launch new innovation that generates revenue and creates behavior change,
Okay.
for people to stop doing what they're doing and then pay us for new services that have exceptional value. Okay.
Sure.
So that was part of our charter. However, the next thing that we had to do is what I always called a landscape. I think the industry is calling them landscapes now. It's just research. Where is the world going? What is the industry doing? What are people feeling and purchasing? And what about Gen X? What about the Gen Z and so on? How are they going to influence our world? And so it's really fun. It's my favorite thing to do. I got to
Yeah.
tell you.
Just kind of wallowing in the trends and the data, the customer stories, that kind of thing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I love it. It's chaos. And innovators love chaos because we want to pick it apart and solve the problem, right?
And by the way, excuse my cough. You said the word chaos, but that's a really interesting word, because chaos is bad. Chaos is unstructured. Chaos is, by definition, chaotic, and you don't know what's going to come out of it. Is chaos a necessary prerequisite for sort of figuring out where you're going to focus?
Well, another word for it would be ambiguity,
Hmm.
right? And so to me, it's kind of like you throw everything on the table and you're like, okay, this part is an interesting insight. So let's set this on the positive side. And then you take the other pieces and you're like, noise, 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 noise. And you basically get out of the chaos into those insights that are meaningful and actionable. And that to me is the fun part.
Yeah.
And so the insights are what are in the landscapes, okay, of where the market is headed, how people are reacting, customer journeys, lightly customer journeys, excuse me. And you bring the innovation council with that knowledge, you bring them along. So it's not just my mind that has gone from confusion to clarity, but it's everyone around the table. So then they can apply their filter. If I'm a CIO, I can apply my IT expertise to where is this going. I
Sure.
can apply my legal, lens on this as well. And then what happens is it creates a dialogue where the people at the table are like, well, we could do this, we can't do that, and yada, yada, yada. And so then it comes back to like a smaller landscape and then a smaller focus area. And that's where you can dive deep and say, this is an interesting, we have a hypothesis here that people might want to buy X. And that's when we go into research rounds, where we're interviewing people and asking them, is there value and
Sure. You're doing, in the language of startups, you're doing your customer discovery, you're tailoring it, and you're also kind of flipping you're at that edge from validating the problem to, thinking about designing potential solutions, right?
Yes, yes. And you mentioned startups, and I thought about this today. What is the value of the startup ecosystem to a big corporate? Because I know a lot
Ooh,
of
what a
your
great question.
people are talking to them, right? The biggest value is showing the use case, the pain point that they don't know that they have. It's not
Inspiration.
it's inspiration, yeah, to think about things differently in the organization. I would recommend to every startup to write a blog once a week. Chat GPT is there for you now, you
Heck yeah.
know? And so write a blog about those pain points and share, because people need to be reminded that something is painful. And once they're off of whatever project or they want to be distracted by something else, you have those articles right there. So that's
It's
our
great.
process.
It's great advice, and it's a wonderful process to hear about, right? I actually think it can be really inspirational for a lot of our listeners to say, wow, there's a relatively simple but actually hard work set of things that you can do to get buy-in, right? It's hard work to get senior leaders from multiple divisions together to wallow and immerse, but it's not complex. It's a simple thing that you can do. You can inspire people and come up with ideas. Um, I
But if I can add to that,
Oh yeah,
you have to make it exclusive.
yeah. Tell me more about that.
So you have to say that I would really like to invite you specifically to the Innovation Council because of the way you are strategically wired, or because you have had so much success in launching things in the past.
It's a
You
little bit
want
of
to be
psychology and
sincere.
buy-in going on here.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you want to be sincere, of course, but you want to make it feel exclusive, like a very handpicked, because they were handpicked, group of people that are working on the biggest problem for the organization, which is to create new channels of growth.